wish to call to order the meeting of the Monroe County Board of Commissioners. For the record, I'd like to note that Commissioner Thomas is joining us virtually. Thank you for being with us. And she has asked me, because she's virtual, to go ahead and run today's meeting. So with that, I think we have an amendment to our agenda.
Yes, I move that we amend our agenda with item it's H.
Yes, I believe it is.
Item H, yes. Monroe County Emergency Declaration.
I'll second that. Is there any discussion? Or Mr. Cockrell, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Githens,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Motion is approved 3-0.
With that, we'll go on to Commissioner's public statement and read by Commissioner Jones.
We, the Monroe County Board of Commissioners, renew our commitment to welcome and protect the rights of all people, regardless of age, race, color, creed, disability, sexual orientation, gender, gender identity, marital status, economic status, and national origin. And we affirm the right of every person to live peacefully and without fear. And we will fight and resist at every step discrimination and harmful policies, whatever their source. We also stand in support of our county public school systems, both RBB and MCCSC.
Thank you. Let's move on to department updates. And I believe we have Ms. Cottle from the Health Department here with us in person today.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's so nice to be here in person and see you. COVID cases continue to be stable, yet with a high transmission level. So right now they are kind of staying about where they've been the past few weeks. So no, not seeing a lot of big increases, but not yet a lot of decreases. So there's something to be said for stable, but the virus is still circulating and we should be aware of that. Hospital numbers do remain low at this time, although we are seeing some increases in hospitalizations, especially among our older populations. But our deaths so far are remaining very low. So that is some good news as well. And our CDC community level remains low as well. We are still waiting on our update to our Monroe County Public Health Clinic on the vaccination site map. Last week I reported that had accidentally gotten removed and we've resubmitted our information to get that added. I checked yesterday, it's still not up. So if you need an appointment locally to get your vaccination at the Public Health Clinic on Miller Drive, you can call and that's how you make your appointments there. The number is 812-353-3244. 353-3244. We did have a recent audit, a COVID audit, and received a lot of praise for our workflow and the vaccine availability. One of the auditors said that they were very impressed with the knowledge of dosing and spacing and the fact that we have so many vaccine options for our community. She shared that we were the first clinic that she had been in that offered all 3 vaccines, and also mentioned that we had adult and pediatric doses in preparation for the next available eligibility groups. So high praise for that. So just wanted to give a shout out to our nursing staff for that. And then at Futures Family Planning Clinic, we will be hosting a special vaccine clinic on Friday, the 14th, June 14th. And let me look real quick at 9 to 11 a.m. And at first we thought we would offer that just to our clients who maybe didn't have an appointment yet, whether they hadn't started it or they needed a booster or what have you, but that is open to the public. So if you are eligible for a vaccine, you can come into the clinic site. That's a day where we don't normally have appointments. And you can come in and take care of that. We would like to schedule appointments because we can plan better for that. So you can walk into Futures Clinic and make an appointment. You can call the clinic directly to make an appointment on June 14th. The number's 349-7343, but we will take walk-ins. If you're not sure where Futures Clinic is, our family planning clinic is in the Health Services Building. It's at 119 West 7th, but the entrance to the clinic is on College Avenue, and you will follow the ramp down the beautiful mural, and it will take you right inside the building. So if you need a vaccine and that's more convenient for you, feel free to come and get your COVID vaccine that day. And lastly, I would just say that it does look like the FDA is probably going to approve Novavax for emergency use authorization. There's still some hoops and decisions to be made, so that is not a done deal yet, but they are moving in that direction, and that will give us a fourth vaccine that would be available to us. So that's the update that I have for you today.
Wow, thank you. Commissioner Thomas, any comments?
No, just kudos to you and the nursing staff on the audit. They know now what we've known all along. Thank you.
Yes. Commissioner Jones?
Yes, I agree with Commissioner Thomas. That's great to hear.
Yeah, well, yes, but it is what we already knew. So, yeah, but it's nice to have that external appreciation.
Yeah, it's always nice to have somebody else tell you that, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, thank you.
Mhm.
Let's move on to Recorder Eric Schmitz. I believe he had something he wanted to share with us. Is he in the attendees list? I don't see him present. Okay, TSD says he's not. Okay, well then we'll move on. This will be a time for public comment for both for people who are present with us here in the NetU Hill Room and virtually. As a reminder, you have 3 minutes, and at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, there will be a bell that sounds, which is there to remind you that you have only 30 more seconds to complete your thoughts or your statement. So we'll start with anybody who's present in the NetU Hill Room. Is there anyone who'd like to make a comment? These are for items not on the agenda. Not seeing anyone. I see that Mr. Deckard would like to say something. And please give us your name and let us know if you're a resident of Monroe County.
Good morning, ladies. Can you guys hear me?
You're muffled.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm at work here. I'm up in Indianapolis. So my name is Jason Deckard. I live at 7118 West Walker Lane, and that's also the property in question. I have spoke to Lee. I reached out to her a few days ago and have spoken to her a few times about this. I have a situation out at my property. I have an elderly mother that cannot move away, and I also want to add an addition onto my garage. I was just told yesterday by Kenny Bierman from the planning department that back in 2013, when I was permitted to build my house, I never should have been permitted to build the house because my lot width does not meet the minimum requirements. And Lee, I haven't got to disclose that to you yet. I tried to call you, but so she said, well, everybody makes mistakes. And I said, well, I understand that we're all human beings, but I shouldn't be penalized because you guys, you guys didn't, follow through like you should have. So I need a permit to build this garage, and I need to keep my elderly mother on the property. So I will be working with Tammy and then hopefully you guys to bring a resolution to this. And Lee said it best the other night when I talked to her. 9 times out of 10, the zoning ordinances are designed to help everybody, but this time they're hurting. They're hurting me. So all I want to do is build 20 feet onto my garage to protect an investment that I put a sizable amount of money into. I got a COVID vaccine last August and it caused me a lot of cardiac health problems. So I can't fly helicopters anymore. So I'm trying to do everything that I can do to keep my sanity on the ground. So this garage is to protect an investment that I bought. So Lee, I'll be talking to you too also. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate all your ladies' time, but this needs to be resolved, quickly. I shouldn't have to go through any kind of a variance procedure because I already did all that when I built my house back in 2013. And she's telling me that I'm going to have to do that again. So I see my time's about to run out. But anyway, I appreciate you guys listening to me. I appreciate the time, and I hope I can get some help. I did have a pretty positive conversation yesterday, Lee, with Tammy. It was a lot more positive than the first day that I talked to her. So hopefully she will help me, this time instead of telling me that there's nothing she can do for me. So, okay, thank you, ladies. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to make a public comment for items not on the agenda? And I realized I should have asked if there were any other departments that had an update for us. Okay, seeing none. Let's move on to the next item on the agenda. Commissioner Jones,
Move approval of the minutes for June 1st, 2022.
second. Is there any corrections or discussion? None from Commissioner Thomas? If not, Mr. Cocker, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Githens,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Motion is approved, 3-0.
Next item, please.
Move approval of the claims docket, accounts payable, June 8th, 2022.
Second. Is there any discussion or comments? Seeing none, Mr. Cocker. Oh, where do we have? Jordan, do you want to share things with us?
I'd love to. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning. Sorry.
The total for claims was $5,493,804.98. 5 items accounted for nearly 92% of that claims total, beginning with $3,604,857.34 for local income tax or lit distribution for June. $105.14 was for lit property tax relief for spring of 2022. $199,266.55 was for Flynn and Sons Excavating for road resurfacing Chapel Hill Road and Guthrie Road. $138,059.89 was for Fox Construction Company, Inc., which was for Highway Department Relocation Project, application number 1. And finally, $87,910.13 was for Advanced Correctional for July on-site medical and mental health services.
Whoa, thank you. Now, are there any comments? Okay, seeing none. Mr. Cocker?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Githens,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Motion is approved, 3-0.
Much appreciated.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. I will note for the record that we have a report from the clerk for April of 2022. So now we'll move on to new business. First item.
Move to approve Schneider Geospatial LLC Professional Services Agreement, Fund Name Reassessment, Fund Number 1224-350-000-0000 in the amount of $2,016.
I'll second that. And I believe we have our assessor, Ms. Sharp, here to share information with us. She was on the screen just a minute ago.
Yeah, she.
Oh, you need to unmute.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've been
No, no.
sitting here listening and my face was there. Read my lips. Anyway, this is a contract with Snyder that is our GIS provider. And this allows all of my other features. Snyder has to take that. They have to take the pictometry. It's the Connect Explorer. They have to take all of that in order to put it into the GIS. That's a cost to us. And this is the service agreement for the rest of this year and 2023. It is not a whole lot of money, but we cannot do our whole job without this web feature on there. This has been reviewed, of course, by the attorneys. It's just an agreement that we have to continue our work here in the office.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions? Commissioner Thomas? Commissioner Jones?
Nope.
Is there any public comment on this item? I don't have any questions. It was pretty straightforward in our packet. So Mr. Cockrell, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Githens,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Motion is approved, 3-0.
Thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you. Next item?
Move to approve the 2022 Covered Bridge Certificate.
I'll second that. And is it Mr. Cockrell or Ms. Gregory who's presenting on this?
What do you think? I'm gonna present today. Good morning,
Okay.
commissioners. This is just one of those annual housekeeping items that we need to take care of. So this is required by Indiana code. We just need to, well, you need to certify the amount of covered bridges within Monroe County.
And I will note for the record, until a few years ago, we didn't have one. So are there any comments or questions? Commissioner Thomas? Mr. Jones?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that now that our covered bridge is recovered and once again renovated, it's truly lovely. And if anyone has not had a chance to go see it, I highly recommend that.
Agreed. It was quite an occasion when we got to cut the ribbon on that. So yeah, it's beautiful. Is there any public comment on this? Seeing none, Mr. Cockrell, will you call the vote?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Githens,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Motion is approved, 3-0.
Thank you, Ms. Gregory.
Great. Thank you, commissioners.
Next item.
Move to approve Baby and Me Program Service Agreement Renewal. Fund name NACCHO, fund number 8130, in the amount of $960.
I'll second that. And we have Ms. Cottle back with us.
Hello again. This is a renewal. We have had the Baby and Me tobacco-free program for several years now. And it initially started when we received NACCHO funds, which is National Association of County and City Health Officials, funds to operate the program. And that's what this fund is. And then the Indiana Department of Health provided funds to operate the program for a period of years. And so we were able to kind of hold these back and use them as sort of extra if we needed. The Indiana Department of Health has since stopped the Baby and Me program, and they are looking at some other initiatives to help women who are pregnant stop smoking or using tobacco in some form. So we wanted to continue this program, at least in order to get the people who were in it through it, right? And so we have those NACCHO funds available, and this is to renew that program for a period of time through September so that we can use those funds and see those clients through.
Are there any comments, Commissioner Thomas? Mr. Jones?
No, I don't.
I'm just really pleased that we have something like that's going in the county. We know that babies who are exposed in utero to smoke tend to be lower weight. They tend to be more premature babies with that. And so this is a wonderful thing to have happen.
Yes, and we are looking at other alternatives. So once this funding in particular is gone, how else we might be able to do that? Certainly the pandemic has changed people's desire to maybe meet in person and do some of the things that we did before that, during the pandemic, we were able to change things up because you needed to. And so there's a little hesitancy about getting back into kind of that normal piece of things. So we'll be working on that. And the state is looking and initiating some other similar type programs.
Great. Is there any public comment? Not seeing any. Mr. Crocker, would you call a roll?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Githens,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Motion is approved 3-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next item.
Move to approve E&B paving service agreement for Loesch Road Trailhead Improvement. Fund name 2017 GEO Bond, fund number 4810-47151, in an amount not to exceed $26,350.
I'll second, and I believe we have Ms. Whitmer of the Parks Department here.
Hello, can you hear me? This project is not grant eligible for the next level trails. This would be just an improvement of the parking lot. Now, we were looking at Angie and I were looking at the bond money. There's $82,923. You've already committed $4,200 of that, which leaves you $78,723. This project's $26,350. That leaves $52,373 for any of the railroad changes. We're working with the railroad tomorrow. Paul Satterley is going to be in that meeting. DNR, I actually ate lunch with them yesterday. They will pay for something. They just don't know what. I really believe we will have enough money in the bond to pay the railroad changes and to make this improvement to the thing. If not, I will meet with the park board on June 15th to see if they will back up any leftover from our non-reverting. In the past, the park board's been very agreeable to pitch in a little, especially since parking is an issue on the Cars Farm Greenway. We are getting calls every week about additional parking. In this particular lot, we would gain 4 spots and a spot that if we would like to put a portable toilet there. Plus, I also have Duke grant money that has already bought a bench and a message board for this site. So if we do it now, it'll be $26,350. I can promise that if we do it later, it will be more because E&B's equipment and staff and material will not be on site. I think it's a good opportunity to make this little change. I think it will improve trail users' experience tremendously to get those extra 4 spots. Do you have any questions?
Oh, I think it's important to note for the public how few spots are currently there.
There is 2 spots and 1 ADA spot.
Right.
So this would give us 4 additional spots, which would equal 6, 1 ADA, 1 ADA aisle, and a very nice ADA porta-john that we will probably be purchasing ourselves, servicing through someone else. Because when you rent an ADA porta-john, in my opinion, it's not ADA compliant. You can buy larger ones that will actually house a wheelchair, which isn't that the point. So you can move around more, or if you have a person helping you, 2 people can actually then get in to move you around. So I'm working on that from our county council budget to purchase some porta-johns for that and get them serviced. Because Cars Farm Greenway from Cars Farm Park to Ellisville will be 7.2 miles. That's a long distance, and some people would prefer to do different distances, or they might have to go to the restroom. And there really isn't a restroom at Ellisville. It's at Campbell's Park and it's closed 90% of the time.
Thank you. Commissioner Thomas, do you have questions or comments?
No, no question, but I applaud you and your staff for jumping on this opportunity. This is a great opportunity to make a good improvement here. I appreciate the thinking and the strategizing that went into this. Thank you.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes, it's definitely a much needed improvement. There's really no possibility of parking along Loesch Road. And if those 2 spaces happen to have been taken, there's no alternative at all. So I'm quite pleased to hear about this.
Yes, I heard about it recently at the internal trails group meeting, and I think that we're very fortunate that E&B Paving is willing to do it at this cost since they're already there. Otherwise, it would be significantly higher cost to the county. So I'm very pleased that you're able to work with them this way. Is there any public comment on this? Seeing none, Mr. Cocker, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Githens,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes,
Motion is approved 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item.
move to approve Aztec Engineering Task Order number 5, Fund Name Stormwater, Fund Number 1197, in the amount of $18,100.
I'll second, and we have Ms. Ridge here to tell us about it.
Good morning. This task order is for the Stip Road Morse Creek project in our stormwater program. This is for additional design services for an easement that was requested and will be submitted to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for approval. And it was also for the need to coordinate with the utility companies to secure separate easements for their facilities per the Army Corps. The task order was approved by the Stormwater Board on May 11th, 2022.
Thank you. Commissioner Thomas, do you have any questions? Mr. Jones?
No, I don't.
I don't have any either, since we all sit on the stormwater board and we've seen it before. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, Mr. Cocker, would you call the roll on item E?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Githens,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes,
Motion is approved 3-0.
Thank you. Next item.
move to approve ordinance 2022-17, amending various traffic ordinances.
I'll second that. And again, we have Ms. Ridge with us.
So we took these items to the Traffic Commission Board on May 19th, 2022. They were all approved unanimously. And they also are in accordance to the MUTCD, which is the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. We are amending a few different items in the ordinance. We have to delete some of the speed limits to change the speed limit. So that's why you have some deletions and some additions. So we are amending 86-12 to delete yield location for Ison Road eastbound for Ison and Tower Road. We're amending 86-12 to add the following yield locations: Chapel Hill Road westbound for Guthrie Road and Chapel Hill Road, Ison Road southbound for Ison Road west/Tower Road. We are amending ordinance 86-11 to add the following: no parking location, and it's Production Drive, the west side only, and Commercial Street, the south side only. Amend 86-09 to delete a 35-mile-per-hour location, Rockport Road from State Road 37 to Bloomington city limits. Amend 86-09 to delete 30-mile-per-hour from Hunters Creek Road, Centennial, and Sherrill Drive. Amend 86-09 to add the following 35-mile-per-hour location, which is Hunters Creek Road. Amend 86-09 to add 30-mile-per-hour location, Rockport Road, from State Road 37 to Bloomington city limits. Amend 86-09 to add 25-mile-per-hour locations,
Centennial Drive, Cheryl Drive, Denise Drive, Emma Drive, and amend 86-06 to delete the following stop locations: Guthrie Road for Chapel Hill Road, Ison Road westbound for South Ison Road.
Whoa, okay. Commissioner Thomas, any questions or comments? Commissioner Jones?
No, I don't.
I just want to thank Ms. Ridge and the Highway Department. I feel like this makes people safer within the county.
Thank you.
Is there any public comment on this? Seeing none. Mr. Cocker, would you call the roll, please, on item F?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Githens,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Motion is approved 3-0.
Next item, please.
Move to approve System Navigator Grant Agreement, Fund Name System Navigator Grant, Fund Number 9160, in an amount not to exceed $15,000.
I'll second that, and I believe we have Ms. Stuffle here.
Hello. I'm asking that you approve a contract that we are hoping to have with a full-time employee within this office. We have a System Navigator grant, and we originally had asked for $15,000 for a part-time person to input all the data. The Indiana Public Defender Commission is the one who we have this grant with, and they would prefer this particular full-time employee to be the one to input all of this data so that we can get accurate results. It's sort of a test with a DCS or DCS cases to see if these system navigators can help the parents with getting through the system a little bit more favorably than what we have. So we're asking that you approve the contract so that we can actually pay her for doing this work and hopefully get, again, better and more accurate data for them to determine whether this is going to be beneficial or not.
Thank you. Commissioner Thomas, any comments or questions?
Yes, I have a fighter jet behind me, so it's going to be a little loud for a second. Sorry. All right. So this is 20 months and it's $750 a month. Is there a certain number of hours because this person is tracking hours?
So there's not going to be any hours that are tracked. It's more of just because we don't know how many cases we get each week or month. So it would just be, per month, depending on how many cases there are. So there could be one, but there's probably not going to be just one. Usually it's several.
So is it by the case then? Is that how it's billed, or is it just a monthly fee no matter whether there's a lot of work or no work at all?
It's going to be just a monthly fee.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Jones?
No, I have no questions.
I had questions earlier that I'd emailed and it was hard for me at first to understand that this was a regular county employee who works for us full-time, who's being paid on a contract basis for work outside of her normal work hours. So I want to be transparent about that that's what's happening here.
Yeah, we had tried doing it. I had talked to Kim in council and asked if she could do it. And they explained that she wouldn't be able to do it because she would have to be paid overtime. So that's where we decided to do the contract.
Right. Mr. Cockrell?
Well, I guess I just wanted to make sure that when you worked with Ms. Turner King in our office, that you guys took into account the Fair Labor Standard Act and all those kind of requirements so that we track time and make sure that we don't get into any overtime issues with her actual work and whether this work product would be distinct enough from her normal job that it would allow for a contractual agreement.
Yes.
Okay.
Is there any public comment on this? If not, Mr. Cockrell, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Githens,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Motion is approved 3-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next item.
Move to approve Monroe County Emergency Declaration.
Second.
I think I'll start us off if that's okay with you. This emergency declaration was drafted and you guys should have received an email about it yesterday. It's for one parcel in the county. It's parcel number 016-05210-11. This is the property that we had homeless encampment on that we're going through the process of cleaning up the property. We approved that the commissioners approved an agreement last week for up to 5 days for a contractor to come in and remove the trash and hazardous waste. I think the further we get into this, the more we realize that this is a bigger issue than what we began with. And in order to resolve those issues, and the issues are making sure the property is no longer used for camping, making sure that the refuse and waste and hazardous materials no longer accumulate on this property, require, and that it maintains the drainage function, which is what is why we have it and what it was designed for, that we need to do some additional cleanup work, and we need to do it in a pretty quick manner in order to avoid the issues that we've had out there in the past. So this emergency declaration will allow us to utilize Indiana Code 516-1-1.6 for getting that contract together and approved and getting the work done because of that emergency state where there is health and public safety issues that will continue to arise and probably get worse if we don't take immediate action. So that is the reason for this emergency declaration. What this allows is for staff to get quotes from invite quotes from 3 different vendors to do removal of undergrowth, underbrush, disposal of undergrowth and underbrush, grading and reseeding the property. And I think the deadline in this is 9 a.m. tomorrow. And then it would allow the commissioner and administrator to authorize the lowest quote. If for some reason we don't want to use the lowest quote, then we'll have to come back to the Board of Commissioners. This does not include the hazardous waste removal, as we have a contract with that already. And that's kind of more of a professional service because you need to make sure that it's done correctly and done appropriately. So they have already utilized all of their 5 days that is under the current contract. That can be amended just by writing with the commissioners and the vendor. I would ask you to authorize our commissioners administrator to go ahead and extend that for a period of time. I would think from 5 days to 15 to 20 days, just to cover what we hope is the scope of what they're going to be needed for. So that is kind of the backdrop for this. I think Mr. Crone has additional information for you to kind of highlight the issues.
Good morning, everyone. Greg Cron, Monroe County Facilities Manager. I've been on site at that location since last Thursday throughout the weekend, and then again yesterday, monitoring the progress of the cleanup. I'd like to start by saying if it weren't for the diligence and the professionalism of the Bio One Company, the Monroe County Highway Department, the Monroe County Sheriff's Department, and the Monroe County Emergency Management Department, we wouldn't have it to the level that it is. By my estimation, as you can see by the pictures we're including here, these just give you a small scope idea of some of the things that we were encountering. At last count, the number of needles that had been picked up numbered in the thousands. They have buckets full of them, We also have hazardous materials, chemicals that are used in the manufacture of methamphetamine that's on the location that we still have to dispose of. These pictures don't do it justice. This shows you what was readily available, what was stomped down in the heavy paths that people were able to access. This area was originally cleared. I remember it being cleared back in the 80s for that retention to be put in. And since then, it's been allowed to grow up. So this is all growth scrub, undergrowth, multifloral rows. So there was a lot of areas that we were not able to access, trying to get all this cleaned out. So there still remains items that we haven't found yet and items that we can see that we need to remove brush to get to. I have noticed on every occasion that I've been out there, there's a population attempting to move back in on the property. We had fresh encampments yesterday morning when we came in that we had to take back down. And I did just a drive pass through this morning and could see fresh activity again today. So the other issue is this property for our deputies is only really accessible from one side. That is be the north end of the property that runs along the at-home store, their alley behind that. In order to clear that out for the deputies to have a line of sight, we need to remove all that brush and that undergrowth. I'm requesting that we leave all trees over 12 inches, the good healthy trees that are in there, remove everything else, and then seed that so it's a green space. This will allow the deputies to have a line of sight to anywhere on that property. It will also deter the want for building camps because of visibility. They don't desire to be visible, so this will help with that issue. Like I said, we still have items in there for meth manufacture that I want to get back in there and make sure that we've gotten all that out. I need to bring in the state police to pull out what we've already found. The longer we wait on this, the bigger problem we're going to have as far as repopulation of the area. We're coming up on some pictures here in just a moment. Mr. Evans, do you want to go ahead and skip forward on this? I'd like you to see to what extent how much different it is from what it was to what it is. This is the example of caustic chemicals used in meth manufacturing. This is one of the items that I have to call in the state police for disposal. This shows, this is the area that was originally the main encampment. You can see the dramatic difference between what it was and what it is. And that's, I can't say enough about everyone involved, how hard they worked to get this to look like that. But as much as we've cleaned up, we still have probably 25% as much left by my estimation remaining that we need to get out of there, which will not be possible if we don't clear and grade that property. I have contacted United Excavating. I contacted Kreider and Kreider this morning, as well as Milestone, to obtain 2 more quotes. So I'm waiting to hear back on the last 2 entities on that. But this isn't a situation we can leave, or we're going to be revisiting this. This is it's a health hazard in there. It's not safe for anyone to pass through that if you're not wearing heavy leather boots and everything else because of all the needles, all the items you can't see that's below the surface and things like that. So I do not want to see all this effort go to waste and just have us have the same problem in the next 12 months, once again, that we're having to revisit. If
Thank
anyone
you,
has
Mr.
any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes, this is a question really for Ms. Purdy about where the funding is going to come from. Do we have money in cumulative capital? What can we do to pay for all of this?
Yeah, we actually will use special projects in our cumulative capital development plan fund.
Okay, and you know, I just want to comment that this is, you know, this is really an expensive proposition, but it does, you know, it is a health issue right now. This is a public health issue. And I would much rather spend this on something toward a permanent solution. And it's really too bad that this has to happen. But I really appreciate the work of Mr. Crone and our Sheriff's Department, the folks at Shalom who have been helping out. Everyone has been doing just a phenomenal job, and we can't thank you enough. And Mr. Cockrell has been out there too. So thank you for that.
Commissioner Jones.
Yeah, this is a really unfortunate situation. It's costing an awful lot of money, and we certainly do not want to see it just revert back to the same condition. So hopefully this will be a solution, at least for this location.
Thank you. Are we planning any ongoing mowing and brush removal after the initial stuff is done?
Once that's opened up into greens, this area will need to be maintained, mowed. I believe that rather than keep it at golf course grade, it would be more of a situation where we could bush hog 2 to 3 times a year. So we wouldn't have that overwhelming cost of constant maintenance on it, but it would be green space.
Understood. Yes. No, I bet it sounds like it's something that does need to occur on a regular basis so that we can prevent this from happening again, at least at this location. Yeah. Is there anything else that we need to do, Mr. Cockrell, to move on this?
I think if you approve this declaration and then also approve another motion allowing the Commissioner's Administrator to extend the Bio One contract to up to 15 to 20 days, up to 20 days. I think if you do both of those, then we'll be able to execute this plan.
I'd also like to add, just for the record, we used 40-yard dumpsters on sites and we hauled roughly 9 completely full dumpsters off this property. So we're talking in the tons of garbage and everything else that had to be removed. So.
Thank you, Mr. Crone, because I know that you're the one that's been overseeing all this, and the fact that you were out there on the weekend, really can't thank you enough for this.
Thank you.
So let's go ahead and have a vote on the emergency declaration, and then we'll do another motion to extend the Bio One contract. So, Mr. Cockrell, for the vote on the Monroe County emergency declaration.
I didn't. Did you ask for public comment? I'm not
Oh,
sure.
sorry. Is there any public comment on this? Thank you. Seeing none. Can we have a vote now?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Githens,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Motion is approved 3-0.
And can we have a motion to extend the Bio One contract from 5 to 20 days?
Yes, I move that we extend the, what contract?
Bio One.
Bio One contract for 15 to 20 days and authorize the Commissioner's Administrator to execute the lowest quote.
I'll second that. Is there anything else that we should be hearing about in connection with that?
I'm sure there's a lot that we need to be thinking about with this project, but I think that's it for today.
Commissioner Thomas, do you have anything to say?
No.
Commissioner Jones? I just want to thank everybody for working so hard on this and moving so swiftly. That's been important. Is there any public comment? Mr. Cockrell, would you call the roll then?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Githens,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Motion is approved 3-0.
Thank you. I'll note for the record that we do not have any appointments. For announcements, the Hoosier Hills Food Bank is sponsoring a Fresh Fruit Friday on June 24th. So if you are in need of food, you may pick up a free box at their site at 2333 West Industrial Park Drive here in Bloomington. If you have questions, you can call 812-334-8374. We are accepting applications for our boards and commissions. You can do that at our website at co.monroe.in.us. We also are continuing to host blood drives. These are with the American Red Cross and are out at Ivy Tech in Shreve Hall. The upcoming ones are Monday, June 24th from 10 to 3 and Thursday, June 30th from 1 to 6. There are also 2 in July and 2 scheduled so far in September. So if you're able to donate, and there is a severe shortage right now, you may sign up, you may make an appointment at redcross.org. Also, I'd urge people to sign up for the Monroe County Alert Notification System. This will notify you not only of health updates, but also weather alerts. Last week, they were retesting some of the sirens, and so that came out as an alert too, so that we knew that it was not a severe weather issue for all of us. So again, you can sign up for that at www.co.monroe.in.us. And I will remind residents of Monroe County that if you are in need of assistance to pay for your rent, for utilities, for other essentials, that you can go to your county township trustee. Every resident of Monroe County lives in a township. And so if you need help, those are listed on our website as well and are contained within our minutes each week. With that, that's all the announcements I have. Commissioner Thomas or Commissioner Jones, do you have anything to add?
Thank you for chairing the meeting today, Commissioner Githens.
Not as elegantly as you do it, that's for sure. With that, we'll adjourn the meeting, and I would like to ask Mr. Carkle, do we have anything at all on our for our work session?
I don't think I do.
With that, we will conclude today's efforts. Thank you all.